Hey guys, Foulclaw here, and welcome to the second video where I'll be covering the Anomalous Animals of Argus pet achievement. This time we are covering the other zone, which is Krokuun. This zone is a bit easier than Antorn Wastes, but it still provided a fair bit challenge with at least two of the pets, I would say. So let's just get right into it then, shall we? Starting off with Retch, I am using my Darkmoon Sapling, as you might see. This is not useful, or this is not necessary in Krokuun, because we do not use the same one-shot ability as in Torn Wastes. But I still liked the fact that I could swap in a pet and it wouldn't take damage for about 2 turns or so. So I swapped in my Adder and I used his to increase my speed. And then I hit him with 2 bites. And after that I was at a reasonably low amount of health, so I thought I would use Burrow. My goal was to aim to be able to use his once again, so that my Fell Spider would have increased speed as well. That plan didn't really work. I'm sure you can find a way with this setup of pets where it will actually work. But as you see, my Adder died and his effect went out as well. But I still went in and I just used my Poison Fang, and then because he is poisoned I used my Puncture Wound, which dealt a really good amount of damage actually. But yeah, that's the only thing I managed to do with my Fell Spider, because then it died very fast. So the great thing, I just have the Darkmoon Sapling there, so I just swap that in and hit him with 2 missiles and that's the fight. Now every pet here in Krokuun has the same 20 turn ability, so you gotta be quick or be dead. So for Ruinhoof, this was really the easiest one for me, because Darkmoon Sapling was strong against this pet, because it's a beast, and mechanical pets are strong against beasts. So my first pet here, which is Darkmoon Sapling, I used Decoy, as usual, and then I spammed missiles until Darkmoon Sapling died. This wasn't really that hard. And when I had done that, it was at like around those 500 health or some shit. And then I could just swap in my second pet and finish it off. I didn't even need Pet Bomblin, I just put it there because it's a mech and I thought I would have an entire mech squad, you know. And also it was just in case something went horribly wrong, which it didn't. This was actually my first attempt as well, so I didn't even get to know the fight, I just went in and yeah, completed it. So the second pet here is Corrupted Nest Guardian, and I just used Wind Up, which increases the damage of my gnabilities by 10%. And then the second time it unleashes a huge attack, and that was enough. So Nasha, or Gnasher, or whatever it's called, is really easy as well. It's also a critter, so I'm just using the same tactic as I used for Retch in the start of this video. As you see, I put down the decoy and I swap in my Adder, and the first ability to use on my Adder would, as usual, always be his. So now I have the most speed, and I'm using Borrow at this point because Gnasher, or whatever he's called, actually does a lot of damage compared to Retch. As you see in a moment here, he actually almost kills my pet, or he does kill my pet. And I swap in my Fell Spider, and it still has the hiss effect on it, so I get the first attack, but when it runs out, and I'm using, I of course use Poison Fang and then Puncture Wound again. I am a bit lucky with the crits on this fight, but I then used Sticky Web just because it was a good amount of damage, and then again I critted. But even if I didn't, I could have used Zeppelin. So Baneglow is actually a lot like the Ear Seeker from last video. I'm again using Crominius and Little Terragosa, and of course Darkmoon Zeppelin. So as you see, I use Decoy as usual. I mean, you should be used to it by now. So then I swap in my Crominius, and I was thinking what to do, what would be the best thing to do here, so I just went with Arcane Explosion and thought that would be great. It was sort of great as well. So I used Howl, and I remember from last time I should use Arcane Explosion before I use my Surge of Power, because, you know, I would benefit more from the Howl buff then. But for some reason, it didn't last 2 turns, and it went off as soon as I used Arcane Explosion, which I didn't realize until I used Surge of Power, and it didn't crit at all. And I was like, that's some bullshit. I'm probably missing something here that would affect the Howl, but I'm not sure. So I then swap in Terragosa, and again I mess up a bit. I should have used the Arcane Storm first, but I just went straight in with Arcane Blasts. It worked out in the end though, as it was slow enough to die from my Surge of Power. I mean, I messed up a lot on this, and I still managed to do it with 2 pets alive, so you should be able to do so too. Foulclaw was a bit of a challenge. It took me a bit of time, and I had to use 3 pets I never use. The 3rd pet slot was actually useless, but always great to have a 3rd to rely on. So the first ability I used was the Claw, and this pet is really annoying because it, decreases the damage it takes by 100% at some point, like here. So this is where I will be using Dodge, because he is going to hit a lot, and we just dodge everything. So the next ability is to use Howl, that increases its damage by 100%, meaning it no longer has decreased damage. So you just went in with that, and then your pet dies. So you swap in Hux, and it's no longer taking, it's only taking a 50% reduced damage at this point. So I hit it with Stampede, and that also increases the damage it takes for 2 rounds. And then once the Stampede was done, as you see, it took 3 turns to complete the Stampede, and it now takes double damage. Then I just went in with Headbutt, and it died immediately. That's it. 2 pets only. So Deathscreech was the one I found the most difficult. I tried a lot. I think I was on this for about 10 to 15 minutes, until I finally settled on using my almost same setup as for Baneglow and Earseeker. So here I swap in Lil Terragosa first, and I use Arcane Storm as the first ability on her. And then I went for as many Arcane Blasts as I could, before I would have to inevitably use my Surge of Power before I died, which is about this point. So I use Surge of Power. I'm lucky to not die here, and I'm also very lucky that it crit that much. It was actually the highest amount of damage this pet could take, because it can max take like 35% of its max health or some shit. So I just went in with Surge of Power on Crominius, not even using Howl. And that basically kills my Crominius. So I'm only having my Sapling left. So obviously I just want to go in with the missiles. It was at a very low amount of health here, so I wouldn't use Decoy, I wouldn't even bother. Because my pet is a mechanical, so it will come back for once. And then I just finished it with a missile. This was very clutch. You have to be very lucky if you use this method, but I believe in you. Good luck. So that concludes the second video on the Anomalous Animals of Argus pet achievement. I hope you found this very helpful or interesting. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.